The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Dean's Beans Organic Coffee, a locally based, worker-owned company committed to social and environmental responsibility, roasting fair trade, organic, shade-grown coffee since 1993. DeansBeans.com. The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by the UMass 5 College Credit Union, dedicated to creating access to financial well-being for local people, businesses, and communities. Insured by NCUA, umass5.coop.
Welcome to the Fabulous 413. I'm Chloe Smith.
And I'm Monty Belmonte. Later in the show, we'll meet some of the Hilltown Six, a collective of Western Mass ceramic artists who will open their studios to the public for a tour in July.
Plus, Emily Brewster, senior editor at Merriam-Webster, leans us into the pain and Schrodinger's W's for a look at the words rack and wrack.
Right now, we'll visit a stop that I know well.
And that I only knew in theory.
Where they are striving to make sure folks in Amherst and beyond are being fed and have the services they need. We're at the Amherst Survival Center, which is a place that when I come here, usually have walked 13 or so miles and I'm in some dumb costume.
30 miles by that point.
Well, depending. Only about 13 that day. Because this Saturday at Pulaski Park is the Feed the Hungry concert, an initiative of Light Omega and the Village of Light Ashram, centered around the message, may all be fed. And they have a very spiritual message that goes along with what this concert is all about, and it has some great music, hopefully with Russell Brooks, Onata Love, Matthew Andrews, music of Franklin, and our friend Tony Vaca. They're going to sing We Are the World at the end, but they're also going to talk about feeding people actually in their human bodies as well as spiritually. And so we are here at the Amherst Survival Center with the executive director, Carlene Basler. Thank you so much. You're going to give us a little tour of what you do here.
We are. We're so excited that you're here. Happy to take you on the tour.
You, before you became the executive director, had a lot of different roles here. So you've served under Lev Ben Ezra, our friend who's been on the show many times, who's now at Community Action. State Rep Mindy Dom, who was the executive director before that, but you've seen it through all of that. And you've also had to witness a lot of what's gone on with emergency food through the pandemic and beyond, right?
Absolutely. I actually started as the very first volunteer coordinator all the way back in 2015. So, and then became the director of programs. And we got to do all this incredible work through COVID, an extremely challenging time, but provided us a lot of opportunities to expand our efforts to make sure people were connected to food. That's when we started our extended delivery program. So there's lots of ways in which the challenges that have happened for us have also created really ingenious ways with an incredibly talented staff and really thoughtful community that helps us make sure we're still responding every single day.
Show us around.
Okay, fantastic. And away we go.
It smells really good in here.
We make a hot lunch every single day that we're open, and at this point we're roughly serving well over 200 meals a day.
That's too many.
No, it's wonderful.
Great, but it's too many.
It is too many. It is too many, but one of the things that's absolutely lovely is we have an incredible kitchen coordinator. Folks come in, and if they're waiting for the pantry, they can have a hot meal, but lots of folks just come in for the lunch because, unlike what my mother told me, there actually is a free lunch, and you get to come here and have it. And every day it's different, and it's made from scratch. It's fabulous with a lot of our local ingredients.
Maybe we should start there. Should we see what they're making for lunch?
Yeah, let's come into the kitchen. This is Carolyn Simmons, our kitchen coordinator I was telling you about. These are our amazing volunteers.
What's on the menu today, do you know?
Stuffed cabbage casserole.
So it looks like a beautiful veggie dish, some mashed potatoes. I think that's all going into the stuffed cabbage casserole.
Mediterranean chickpeas. And you got 4 people working in here in the kitchen. Are they volunteers? Are they staff? How does it work?
These are all volunteers, and they come in.
Thank you for your service, everybody.
They come in every morning. A different group of volunteers comes in every morning. They prepare these meals, and then the next shift of volunteers come in to serve.
It's amazing.
It is amazing.
The level of volunteerism that goes into every day
yes.
here is so great.
We have well over 350 volunteers a week, and it's over 400 if you include all the groups that come in to help with truck unloads, cleaning projects. It's really amazing.
That's an incredibly well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
It is.
Because that's a lot of volunteers.
It
olive
is.
oiled. Where does all this food that's being prepared right now come from?
So a lot of it comes from the food bank. A lot of it is donated from our local farms, including the UMass farm. We get a lot of fresh stuff every day. And some of it comes from our local partners. The fabulous man, Bob Lowry at Bueno Isano, donates burritos to us once a month. That is really incredible. Amherst College has offered us meals when they have too many. It is a great way in which all the local businesses help support the community meals program, in addition to making sure that people have access to local foods. So we're making sure that we're very conscientious of allergen sensitivities, food restrictions, making sure there's vegan and vegetarian options.
And gluten-free ones. I saw that on the menu board too.
And gluten-free.
We're taking a tour of the Amherst Survival Center with the executive director, Carlene Basler. There's a benefit concert that's happening this weekend that Carlene will be a part of at Pulaski Park in Northampton, talking about how important it is to make sure people have enough to eat, both physically and spiritually.
So we're so excited to participate in this because it's a great representation of bringing together nourishing body and soul. And we think of ourselves as nourishing not only bodies, but nourishing community. Because like I said, a lot of people come here just for lunch because they want to join together and have conversation. It's really lovely. So the space we're standing in right now is our main dining room. We have an overflow dining room here, which we also consider the workshop room, and we have lots of really fun events that happen in there. The folks who are putting on the concert also come here to do sort of like healing processes, Reiki and massage and stuff once a month. So that's really fantastic. The dining room is almost always full every single day, and people can not only come in and sit down and have a hot lunch, but if they're in a hurry, they can get a lunch to go. They can also have a lunch and take a lunch to go. So it can be 2 meals in one. Our pantry captures 13 towns in Franklin and Hampshire County. However, everything else is open to everyone else. All of the resources, including the food resources.
Let's look at the pantry.
Let's go.
We're crossing the dining room. Another volunteer sorting.
An amazing volunteer who's been with
Oh,
us
sorting
so
donuts.
long.
Oh, that's a tough job.
Time to sort the donuts.
How do I sort the donuts without eating all the donuts?
And so here we are. This is the beginning of the pantry process. This is the intake. And we try to make sure that the experience people have here is low threshold as possible. So when people come in the front door, all they're asked is what town you're from. When they come to our pantry, they do have to, for the very first time, fill out a couple of little paperworks.
That stuff is important for us to keep an eye on how the situation of hunger is evolving.
Absolutely, because people need to feel safe. They need to know that, if they come, because it can be really hard to make that choice just to come and ask for help. So we want to make that as easy as possible by being really welcoming and making this process be really friendly. So folks check in here, but then they will be paired with another exceptional volunteer, and they'll actually shop. And they are assigned a certain number of points per each section, and they get to use those any way they want with no judgment, no expectation.
And you've got everything from Driscoll's berries to what I'm assuming are probably somewhat locally grown leeks and grapes and oranges and cabbages,
Absolutely.
mushrooms. You've got the Olivia's spring mix salad
Organic,
greens.
yeah, a lot of this is organic, a lot of it is local, and it is really fantastic the way our local farms also support us. And that stuff is always fresh and beautiful. We're not passing out leftovers or yuck stuff. It has to meet a test in order to be put on our shelves. And you can see the beautiful way that our very wonderful volunteers put this together to try to make it as much of as a farm stand, shopping, grocery store experience as possible.
Well done, success.
I can walk you through the body of the pantry. if you
Sure.
like. So we will also have a lot of these cold prepared items come to us as donated from our local markets, Whole Foods, Trader Joe's.
Sushi.
Yeah, you got sushi here,
We
which
have
is amazing.
sushi, we have cream, we have butter. Who doesn't love butter? But it's just one of the things where this will possibly change from day to day depending upon what is donated from our local big box stores, but it is a really wonderful thing that people can access.
The point system that you have here, cold prepared foods, each item 1 point, 6 yogurts for 1 point. How many
Right.
points does a shopper get when they come to the Amherst?
That all depends on their household size. So if you're a household of 1 to 2, you may, depending upon what the bounty is that day, it could be that you could get 3 points for this. If it's very low, it could be like every household may just get 1 or 2 points because we are offering 14 days worth of food for every single person in your household.
So the Belmontes interners have
Yes.
5 people. If I were to show up today, how many points would I get?
Well, it depends on the section. So you would
Okay.
probably walk away with about 10 points in our frozen protein, which is the equivalent of 10 pounds of frozen protein. And as you can see, many of these things are pointed quite low. You're going to walk away with a ton of beautiful produce. And I don't know if you've noticed, but throughout the center, you'll see a lot of local art. Some which has been donated us, some which is on rotation from our community members, and it's a really sort of lovely way in which people get represented in all different ways.
Taking a tour of the Amherst Survival Center with Executive Director Carlene Basler. We're in the food pantry part of the Amherst Survival Center. I'm stoked to see that Takis are one of the things that are available here. My family loves the Takis.
I'm a flaming Cheetos girl, but that's okay.
I also love that.
And you can see as we pressed into the pantry proper, we do offer hygiene items, menstrual products, pet food. And our wonderful, amazing friends at Dakin and a lot of our local community members donate pet food to make sure that all the members of our household have something to eat. And then we really move into more of our staples, our canned goods, pastas, beans, cans, fruits, and vegetables. And then we have snacks, bonus items. Those are the things that don't end up on these really sort of stable shelves.
That's where the Takis are.
That's where the Takis are. And you see lots of incredible stuff like coconut milk and so sorry, Marcus. This is Marcus, our incredible pantry coordinator. Tortillas, and we got a lot of tortillas donated from Mi Tierra. They're a huge supporter. So
one of the first segments we did went to go to the factory where they're making those in Springfield, and it's so good to see, to continue to see how much impact that has all over the place in the 413.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And so then we have these full freezers full of frozen protein, including vegetable frozen protein, and that which is designated specifically for people who observe halal.
Oh, wow.
We want to make sure that there are, again, not just food sensitivities, but religious stuff as well. We do have a hygiene shelf, which is really incredible. It's wonderful to be able to come and get this. These are all donation-based, so that's sort of like we have what we have when it comes in. But it's really
hungry eyes. The irony.
That is the irony, but I will say this is a really hopping place in the morning thanks to some of our volunteers who have a music selection that...
Yeah, we love the soundtrack. Perfect. You didn't put that on just for us, I hope, right?
No, not at
The very first time we've had a group walk in that commented on our music.
You're talking to the right people for that. We could stay here and do that all day.
Yeah, let's not. This has already put Patrick Swayze in my brain. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
And so we do try very hard to make sure there's as little food waste as possible, including a strategic effort to compost, but then we also have the oldies but goodies shelf. These items are technically expired, it says on the box. However, the USDA and the Food Bank of Western Massachusetts has given us guidelines that these are still actually good. And so people get to have, anything from gluten-free minestrone soup to donuts.
And your Flamin' Hot Cheetos, although I believe that is the dill pickle flavored, which I have not tried.
There you go.
Why?
Not for dill pickle Takis, I'm not.
I love that song.
No, it's a great song. But all I think of is Jennifer Grey and Patrick Swayze.
I love that movie. More with Carlene Basler at the Amherst Survival Center as we get into some of the details of how much more they're servicing the public of Hampshire and Franklin County, including medical services, their delivery service, and more about that concert you can go to help them in their efforts.
Plus ceramic artists in the area with the Hilltown Six and a racking of our brains with and without W's and word nerd Emily Brewster.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Berkshire Choral International, performing British Mavericks, choral orchestral works by Britton and Smith, June 27th at the UMass Fine Arts Center, berkshirechoral.org.
We're at the Amherst Survival Center with Executive Director Carlene Basler. This weekend, there's a Feed the Hungry concert happening in Pulaski Park in Northampton to talk about feeding people both in their physical bodies and spiritually.
And I just want to show you this because this is one of the things we're so happy about. We do offer a local from our family farms milk to...
Where we've also gone to visit. We love them, and this
Yes.
is kind of my favorite milk, except for Abigail.
All local milk is good milk, right?
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
all local milk is good milk, and this is really fantastic because if you buy this in the supermarket, this is hefty. And when
Yeah.
you have a family of 5, no matter what, that's a lot of money for milk.
You hear that, Pax?
Yeah.
He's growing. He's in puberty.
It's good. They can't help it. People need that milk. And then, of course, we always provide eggs and cheese. There's a good variety.
You mentioned that there was about 200 prepared meals that you're serving a day. How many people do you think you're serving through the pantry program?
We served over 13,000 individuals last year. It's really incredible because that is significantly more than we served the year before and much more than we served during COVID. And that's when we expanded our program. So what we're seeing just through people coming, registering for the first time, or coming back to us even from before the pandemic, people who in 2012 stepped away from the pantry are coming back. The creep that's happening all the way across with the new legislation that's restricting access to SNAP, they're estimating that over 155,000 people in Massachusetts alone have lost access to SNAP.
And we're a wealthier state, which means that like those states out there that don't have nearly as large a GDP or a GNP as we have, that's probably exponentially worse.
And yet, according to the Food Bank of Greater Boston, over 48% of people in Hampshire and Franklin County are technically food insecure.
48%?
48%, and 23 are considered very low food insecure, which means they are actually skipping meals to get through. Now that translates to us, in our service area, about 112,000 people, and in our Franklin and Hampshire County, that's every 1 in 2 people is identifying as food insecure.
That is
It's
high.
too high.
And it's a problem that's hiding in plain sight because you don't know that about people and people don't come up and say those kinds of things. And yet they are turning more and more to resources like ours, which we're so thrilled and happy about, because you can't go to the gas station and somebody's going to give you free gas one day, right? You can't make that negotiation with your health care and the subsidies that were just lost from the ACA. So people are having to make hard choices. You know, what we can do is offer people a respite from that type of stress with regard to food, and better yet, they can be here in community.
How much more do you think your services are being used now as opposed to before the pandemic?
200 to 250% more. We doubled. We expected that in the pandemic. But then we sort of thought we were going to taper. And then a whole bunch of things happened in our national landscape that are just making it harder. Some were expected, some were easily planned for. You know, I'm always very proud of the fact that we did not close one day during the pandemic. When we came out, we were stronger and we were better poised to handle these very slow, death by 1,000 cuts ways that people are struggling now.
And this is, to me, still the new Amherst Survival Center. I'm that old. One of the things that I think is remarkable is the area that we're in right now, where there's a washer and a dryer and there's a giant shower room.
An accessible shower.
Yes.
Accessible, yes. Thank you for saying that. Absolutely, because that's really important to us. Access is really important for all of our community members. So our washer and dryer, our shower, and our lockers are available to those in our community who are experiencing either temporary or long-term homelessness. We want to make sure that they are connected to the resources, and we are not an overnight shelter. However, people can come and protect their belongings, you know, keep them here securely, get resources they need.
I think one of the stereotypes about food insecurity and hunger is that it's all homeless people that are relying on it. But what is the actual breakdown of what you see here, people who are unhoused versus people who have more stable living conditions?
I would say that the unhoused population that uses the Amherst Survival Center is the smallest percentage of folks.
Yeah, and I think that is hopefully ear-opening to people.
I hope so, because, you know, folks who are using the Amherst Survival Center, whether it's the food pantry, whether it's the lunch, whether it's the other resources, including the amazing music for our Tunes at Noon program. There's lots of happy, wonderful things that are happening here too, but they're working people. They're folks who are working, which is why we have extended hours on Tuesdays and Thursdays, why we're open on Saturdays, because people work full days. They also are raising their children. You could be a full caregiver at home. You know, we want to make sure people can get to us any way we can, including with our bus stop, our dedicated bus stop.
Which got changed to be more accommodating?
Absolutely. The resources that are available here, we try to make sure that everybody who doesn't have transportation, who can't really get here during the times we bring the food to them. And
how many people are you delivering to?
Between 300 and 400 families.
Wow. I saw the van pulling in when I parked outside there. There's at least one more big thing that I know is a pandemic development that I see functioning out there right now. Should we go outside and
Let's
check
go
it out?
outside. But I do just want to mention before we leave the building that in this little alcove here is our medical clinic. We do have a free medical clinic with licensed physicians, nurses. Our physicians can do all the basics and connect them to the greater health care they may need.
And do they do it right here?
They do it right here.
Is this something that was also a part of the old building or something you were able to bring on because of the move to the new building?
Excellent question. We were able to do that because we moved into this new building. So you may know this was Rooster's Restaurant. And when you're walking around this building, you will see above there, even in my window, an homage to some of the original Rooster's memorabilia because we want to make sure we always remember where we came from. But this is a huge and welcoming space compared to being in the basement 2 buildings down where food was being lifted down through the window. This is our 50th year in operation, and so we're celebrating all the ways in which we've changed, but I'll tell you, we're busting at the seams. Okay, so let's look outside at Fresh Food Distribution.
Stepping outside of the Amherst Survival Center to see what they're doing in this shed that's out here. This shed was a pandemic project, right?
Absolutely. We realized that the pandemic wasn't going to just last 2 weeks. It was going to be a little bit longer. So while we moved out here to do fresh food distribution for folks who were coming in, normally they used to come inside. We were under tents, and the tents would be blown away, and weather was just killing us. So we got this shed. It's kind of like a makeshift horse barn, but it's fantastic because it allows folks to operate outside entirely and then organize. What you're seeing them sort and organize are what we call the food recovery. So this is from Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, Panera, and then people will line up here and they'll go through and they'll be able to take all those things home.
Like a drive-through?
Like a drive-through, and they can access it every single day. Where the pantry is only accessible twice a month, once for your big shop and the second time for your fresh boost, because nobody can drink 5 gallons of milk, shop.
You hear that, Pax?
He's a growing boy in the middle of puberty.
And we want vegetables to be fresh, so people can come in a second time to get fresh milk, bread, eggs, cheese. But this program is open every single day to everybody.
We're talking about the Feed the Hungry benefit concert, which I've been mentioning is from the Village of Light ashram. There's definitely a spiritual element to it. The performers there are bringing a spiritual element to it. What does it mean to you in your human soul, if such a thing exists, Carleen Basler, in the work that you do providing this food for people as the executive director of the Amherst Survival Center?
Well, what it really means is sort of a full circle commitment to community. All of our community is better and stronger together when we're well nourished, when we are able to see each other and talk to each other and know that all of us every day have great days and some of us have not so great days. That's very human. So as far as like a human soul and what it means to be a person, and particularly in this incredible Western Mass community in this valley, is that we are seeing each other, we are helping each other. People come here to give what they can, take what they need, and really be in concert together as a community that lifts each other up.
Well, thanks for giving us a tour of the Survival Center. Thanks for the great work that you're doing day in and day out here. Thanks for being part of this concert on Saturday. And if I don't see you before then, I'll see you in some dumb costume in November when I walk here on the march.
That's fantastic. I'm looking forward to seeing you then.
Do you know what you're doing this year?
Not yet. I'm waiting for my vision to come to me. It's usually come to me by now, and it has not yet. I have a couple of ideas, but I don't love any of them.
There comes a time when we heed a certain
I used to hate the song until I saw the documentary about this song, and now I love this song.
The impetus of this song is great. But,
Watch the documentary.
I mean, okay.
It's We Are the World, if you don't know.
Yeah.
You can always find out what's going on and how to join the amazing brigade of volunteers at the Amherst Survival Center if you're so inclined through their website.
We'll head right to a waterfall to check in with the Potters of Hillsound 6, who'll host a workshop at East Hampton Clay this weekend.
And we muscle through the pain with Rack and Rack with word nerd Emily Brewster.
One of those has a W and the other one doesn't. We'll get into it after you're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 and EPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Visiting Angels West Springfield, providing home care for seniors and veterans in Hampden County, including Pocket RN, a virtual Medicare-approved dementia care program. visitingangels.com/West Springfield.
Meanwhile,
As for us, it's all about pain, whether it's nerve-wracking or nerve-wracking. If you rack one's brain or you rack one's brain.
so we're talking about a W.
WRACK.
Or are we talking about RACK?
Right. So this will be an interesting
Like
one
bottles.
for radio, because we're going to
Rack
keep
and rack.
saying rack and rack.
Yeah.
We could say it like
Rack.
your husband Chris
Rack.
Dranke says wheat. Are we going to rack our brains, or are we going to rack our brains? Maybe that's where we start it. Emily Brewster, resident wordster from Merriam-Webster, our dictionary in Springfield. We are racking our brains right now about whether we're racking our brains or racking our brains. The W, rack, and the Iraq. And also W had a lot to do with Iraq, and now that I say that out of my mouth, and none of this makes sense.
A wholly unjustified and brutal invasion of of Ukraine. Iraq. Anyway.
How do we parse this out, Emily Brewster?
Well, we can think about, just limit ourselves to one particular term, and that is nerve-wracking. And if we're talking, we can just leave it at that. But if we are trying to write down that something is nerve-wracking, we have to determine how we're going to spell the racking part.
Yes.
So how would each of you spell it?
WRACKING.
Same. Are we correct?
Well, either one is permissible. They're both so widely used, but you are using the upstart version.
Wow.
Oh.
So not the more correct version?
At this point, they are both completely correct. The older traditional spelling is with the R, not the WR. Do you have any idea where the R one comes from? I feel like you probably do.
It feels like a medieval torture device.
I mean, clearly.
Exactly.
Put them in the Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden? Excellent!
Right. The image that you get from, the rack being a torture device that's used to stretch.
Cue the Princess Bride quote here.
So it's to be torture.
No one survived 50!
Got to 50!
I think there was a New Yorker cartoon that was something along the lines of, I think if you're being drawn and quartered, there's a little moment there where it really feels good. Okay, so we're talking about the rack.
Right, rack. Now, rack, R-A-C-K, comes ultimately from Middle Dutch. Middle Dutch being about the same era as Middle English, is before the modern version of these things.
As opposed to Double Dutch, which is more contemporary.
And harder to do.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. The word reckon, R-E-K-K-E-N, in Middle Dutch means to stretch. Now, do you know where the wreck nerve, like if you want to say nerve racking with the W, where that rack comes from, that rack?
I have no idea. Now that I think of it, I just would have spelled it like that and think it was used specifically for these purposes where I get the jitters.
Yeah. Can you think of any other phrases with rack, W-R-A-C-K?
Racked my brain.
Well, that's the same R-A one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other one.
How about rack and ruin?
Oh, yeah.
So it's like wreck?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Comes from the Middle English word W-R-A-K, meaning shipwreck.
So then why did it turn to rack instead of wreck?
Why did it?
Accents.
I don't have a good answer for that question.
Accents.
Probably.
The words just kind of split at some point. It must have been in modern English that W-R-A-K became wreck in modern English because it had been rack and it meant shipwreck, which makes me wonder if people would formerly say shipwreck.
Maybe.
Yeah. The images of these two are very different. Rack with the W. Were we going to say that?
We're going to say wreck. Wreck.
Wrack is definitely has this, it gives you this image of destruction, ruination, and rack without the W, this idea of torture and stretching. They're both, this is why they can be so interchangeable because, nobody's having a good time in either instance.
Except for that one moment of nice stretching.
But it also feels like an eggcorn that sort of became like less of an actual eggcorn because both of them mean the right thing.
Right.
Something bad has gone on.
Yeah.
You're either being pulled to death or you've crashed your boat.
You crash your nervous system or it's just been utterly destroyed through torture. And stress.
Right. You can imagine that. Right. You can imagine your nerves being cracked apart, like splintered, as in a shipwreck, or being stretched. You can imagine your boat also being destroyed by being pulled apart
because it was stretched.
Okay. How about if you want to use the verb and it has to do with accumulation? If you're racking up debt or you're racking up points.
To me, that would be the R
That's
one.
That's the R one. I feel like that rack is similar to racking bottles like you would at a bar.
Or clothes rack.
Or in a cellar.
Yeah.
Yep. That rack is definitely the R-A-C-K. And it has to do with the word. There's another Middle Dutch word that means framework.
That makes sense. You assemble a rack. It's like assembling a frame, and then you can hang things on the rack.
Right.
Why would you rack up points? I guess hanging points on that rack that you've assembled?
You would categorize or like line up the points. You'd accumulate points. Rack often feels like it is attached to a collection of some sort, whether that's just standard inventory or points.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Does racket have anything to do with that? Something that you could rack up points with while playing tennis? Because I think you spell that one differently, but it certainly sounds the same.
Originally, okay, right. So a racket for playing any number of games with small, what do you call those?
Paddles?
A little birdie.
Yeah. A shuttlecock?
Yeah. Right.
You're welcome,
yes.
Tony Dunn.
That comes from Middle French word that used to be spelled much more fancily.
Ooh.
Raquette.
Uh-huh.
But ultimately, that word comes from a Latin word meaning wrist. And is beyond the Latin. It's an Arabic word meaning wrist.
So it has nothing to do, your racket has nothing to do with racking up points.
Absolutely nothing etymologically. I mean, you can think about it. The two can be related semantically, but they are not related etymologically.
I made up a game called Silent Tennis. It's just like regular tennis without the racket. What about racket when it comes to noise?
Yeah, how do you spell it?
Now I'm all confused and have no idea.
I mean,
I'm in a weird world of Q's and W's that I don't want to be in.
I spell racket for noise with the CK.
Yeah, me too.
Yes, racket for noise is definitely CK, and we don't know where it comes from.
And no W at the beginning. R-A-C-K?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, racket.
R-A-C-K. Yeah, whether it's tennis or noise or silent tennis or noisy tennis, that's all with the R-A-C-K-E-T, no W's. Unless you wanted to make it like whispering tennis.
I mean, that's
racket.
That's a different tennis. Mm-hmm. There's always somehow noise in tennis. Everyone's shouting when they hit the ball as if they're really congratulating themselves for having made contact. Like, oh, look, I did it.
Or shouting at the referees afterwards.
Both.
You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious. That ball was on the line.
Knock off the racket.
Now, what about W-R-E-A-K?
Wreak.
Wreak. Like havoc.
Yeah.
Right. Wreaking havoc.
Wreak.
Yes. So that is related, as one might hope, to the wreck that has to do with the destruction, with the shipwreck. And the ultimate source there is, well, a Middle English word meaning to drive out, to avenge, to vent, to express anger, etc. Going back to an Old English word meaning to press forward, drive out, banish, avenge, punish.
That makes sense. I've seen wreak vengeance in addition to wreak havoc.
But it's interesting that it's taking us back to torture again.
Yeah, there's punishment and pain no matter where you go with this pair. And I'm really sorry to do that to you.
Yeah, it's funny because the word itself sounds a little bit like some sort of raptor screeching. So I guess it makes sense that it would involve pain and torture of some sort.
Wreak! Right. It also can be spelled differently. It means smell real bad, which is also its own kind of torture.
Then you have to have two E's.
And an R.
Right.
No W on that one.
That really reeks. That word has a relative, a grandparent of Old High German word meaning smoke.
Huh.
Yeah. Yes, and sometimes when you smoke,
reeking.
You come back reeking.
That's facts.
That word reek is very, very, very old. That's part of the oldest of Old English.
The smell one?
Yeah.
I love that because things were probably really stinky back then.
They were definitely more stinky then.
Yeah.
There's some lovely filth down here.
Deep cut from a recent episode. The gongs were
yes.
reeking.
I've loved calling it the gong, where people who've heard that episode in particular, that means bathroom if you miss that one. The gong reeks.
Yeah, you could have said that like 1,000 years ago and people would know what you meant. That's kind of wild.
It is wild. I love that.
The gong reeks, if you throw a W into the reek part, definitely sounds like a really good band name.
More on the W and the R and the pain and the reek and the torture and the wreck and the shipwreck.
No, I feel like I've put everybody through enough already.
Summer's just started and so much pain.
It's never torture to talk to you, Emily Brewster, but we are going to tip our hand and say that the word nerd is going to get a little bit of summertime off. So if you want a question for our word nerd before she takes a summer break, you should definitely email it to us at thefab413@nepm.org. Meanwhile, we may find substitute word nerds.
Yes.
For the time being from our illustrious dictionary, Merriam-Webster.
Who will know more about the subject than our substitute teachers usually did.
Well, thank you, Emily Brewster.
Always a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Get some word rest.
We're going to do one more with a word nerd before we let you go, though.
Yes, absolutely. I'll talk to you next week.
Rack my brain.
And now to get our hands into some clay with the Hilltown 6 in West Hampton.
Just like you can do this weekend at East Hampton Clay at their workshop.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Northeast Solar in Hatfield, specializing in solar installations, battery storage, and clean energy solutions tailored to the homes and businesses of Western Massachusetts. Northeast-solar.com. The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Eastworks, a community of makers, artists, restaurants, and services located in the Mill District of East Hampton, where community happens. Learn more at eastworks.com.
The Hilltown 6. It sounds like a criminal gang, but that is not what they are.
No.
We're here in one of the Hamptons, Fourth Hampton, as Northampton author Heather Abel called it on our show once. This is West Hampton.
West Hampton is known as the Fourth Hampton?
No, the whole collective area is known as
Fourth Hampton. Four Hampton
or Fourth Hampton.
Put the town in her book as Fourth Hampton to make it like truly fictional, but didn't end up.
She decided on Northampton. Okay. So we're not in Southampton, we're not in Northampton, we're not in East Hampton. We're in the best Hampton of the Hamptons, West Hampton, to meet the Hilltown 6, or at least two of the Hilltown 6.
Two of the Hilltown 6. Of which there are now 8, because growth.
Wow. Why didn't you just call it the Hilltown 8?
The press release had already gone out.
Yeah.
Well, what's your name?
Sam Taylor.
Robbie Heidinger.
You are two of the now, I guess, a quarter of the Hilltown 8, which we'll still call a third of the Hilltown 6. But you're not a criminal gang. What are you, really?
I think we are. I think Potters want to be outsiders. I had a friend a couple years ago tell me that Potters' reminder of the punk movement. It's outsider. Potters are outsider. So
I've never thought of Potters as the punk movement. Maybe as the Righteous Brothers because of Ghost.
Yeah, so let's move away from Ghost and move more into outsider, punk, criminal, only because like we get away with doing all sorts of stuff because no one generally notices us.
You take your fire to some place where nothing else will catch fire.
Yeah.
And then you get to do whatever you want in that space.
Exactly.
Robbie, tell us about your pottery.
Well, I make work about a mile down the road that way. And
Still in West Hampton?
Still in West Hampton.
Uh-huh.
I have a soda kiln. You're going to see Sam's wood kiln, which is a different type of kiln, but some similar effects. And I'm a hand builder, which means I form clay from big slabs, and then I lift them up and organize them in a way that isn't like the wheel that maybe Sam will be showing you or something, I'm not sure. Mm-hmm. And everyone's familiar with potter's wheel, but hand building is a little more of the different style that you can basically make anything you want.
When I was a kid in art class in like elementary school, I made a clay bust of Elvis and a clay mask of Gene Simmons from Kiss. Neither of which are also in the punk category, but a little more than the Righteous Brothers for sure. But that would be more of the hand building thing. I didn't spin it, I assembled it.
I think the spinning for some people gets a little tough and frustrating, so hand building was my avenue out.
What do you make hand building wise? Because people make bowls and things like that when they're spinning, but
I generally do not make bowls when I'm hand building because that's one of the hardest things to make in that technique. I do make large vessels, and they have a lot of extensions on them and textures and painting and more sculptural objects, I would say.
Than like quote unquote functional items. Yes. Or conventionally functional items is a better way to put it.
But for this sale, this particular weekend for the Hilltown 6, I do make functional pots because that's really what people are, I think, coming out for.
What is happening this weekend and where? Because the Hilltown 6 Pottery Trail is actually happening in July, but there's sort of something soft opening, I guess.
We do have not a soft opening, but we are offering a wonderful roundtable workshop experience at East Hampton Clay. Event open to the public. I think it's free, but they do ask you to pre-register. East Hampton Clay is I've been making pottery in the Valley for over 30 years, and there is so much pottery going down now. We used to joke, that pottery was just like a not-for-profit business. But Liz Rodriguez started this East Hampton Clay as a for-profit business, and she's just killing it. She's got hundreds of students, thousands of square foot doing awesome projects. So we're just going to bring our group there and just kind of throw down for a couple hours in their studio talking about how we make stuff and why we make stuff and, hoping for cool and unusual things to take place amongst our however many people show up.
I would argue that in a capitalist society, most art is seen as a not-for-profit business.
But it's good when you can succeed.
It is good it is awesome when you can succeed. It's just sort of like, oh, look, somebody's finally living the dream. Talk about like the other styles that we can see amongst the Hilltown Six, because clearly you each are doing something of your own with clay.
Pottery it's infinite. You got to make something, you got to heat it up, but like you can heat it up so many different ways, you can make it so many different ways. And so like what Hilltown 6 has is it has this group of very strong potters who have hundreds of years of accumulated experience. People that have been making pottery for decades. And when you've been making pottery that long, each person develops their own particular style in their thing. So that's an amazing thing about Hilltown 6. And the other amazing thing about Hilltown 6 is we invite other artists, mainly potters, to come from all over the country to show their stuff, which is also more variety and more different. You know, I think we can kind of get away with calling pottery like functional art.
Yeah.
And then that kind of blurs the line in terms of like, well, what is that sculpture for?
The question of what is functional and what function it serves is always going to be like a conversation that people get to have about the art, especially tangible art that they get to bring into their houses.
Well, art will always function because it's going to give you something, right. You know. One thing that is great during this tour, it's in the summer, so our gardens are deep in bloom, and for me, my garden is a big influence on what I make, so a lot of my vessels, even though I see them as just an object in space that doesn't need anything inside of it, I put a lot of flowers in to kind of add that additional understanding and, you know, kind of clue in the viewer like, oh, you could use it this way too if you want.
Well, Sam, we came to West Hampton to see what you're doing. We get to experience this gorgeous waterfall that you live near anyway, but let's take a look at your studio.
All right.
Talking about the Hilltown 6, who will be in East Hampton this weekend for a clay throwdown, but whose Hilltown 6 tour is happening in the middle of July. We're entering a cool old barn with all sorts of great other paintings and visual art around at Dog Bar Pottery. Dog Bar has to do with where you're from in Gloucester, which is one of my favorite places. What's the Dog Bar in Gloucester?
The Dog Bar refers to the Dog Bar Breakwater, which is a magnificent piece of architecture in Gloucester. Gloucester is a beautiful harbor. Back before, I guess, us white people, there was just a big sandbar that operated the harbor, and it was called the Dog Bar. People that weren't that cool would lure ships onto the Dog Bar and then could salvage things, and so that was like part of the Gloucester lore until they built a magnificent breakwater out of like the local granite. And so when I was starting to make pottery, we went out to the Dog Bar every full moon and communed with that experience. And so when I left Gloucester, I brought the Dog Bar and that sense of like, oh, let's do this to Western Mass.
How did the Hilltown 6 form?
Well, this is our 20th anniversary, so I can say like, well, around 20 years ago, there was a movement that was started in this country where potters were organizing amongst themselves, as opposed to, say, a traditional thing where you do like Paradise City, wonderful event, craft show where you have multimedia, but instead, potters started promoting themselves, doing their own tours. So there's kind of the tour that started this is in Minnesota, the St. Croix Pottery Tour. Some of us had gone down and been part of that tour, and it was very eye-opening. We said, that's an awesome template. Let's start trying to do that. Parallel to that, Asparagus Valley, which has an awesome pottery tour, which is in the spring, started doing that too. And now if you look around the country, there are probably over 100 tours, and you wouldn't even imagine it, but there are people who like aspire to go to every pottery tour. People come from all over the place, and having sold pottery every possible way imaginable, this is the most fun.
Well, it is the most fun, like Sam says. Also, you're not transporting your work. You know, it's all here. It kind of forces you to clean your space. And as a group, we don't hang out that much, you know, and so what's nice is this sort of forces us to get out of our shells and, you know, leave our studios and commune with the other artists and potters in the community. So that part of it is fun.
Are the classes and workshops, have those always been a part of the like lead up to the tour, or is that like a new thing for the last couple of years / this year?
Well, we're definitely wanted to do some special events to, for our 20th anniversary, but we've always tried to do some type of outreach. It's like what forces us to step out of our studio and step away from making, which is this opportunity to like share our story with other people. For people that are like, what do you do? Or why do you do that? It gives you an opportunity, like each stop tells a very different story of how people make pottery, how people present their work, how people live their lives. It's really it's a fabulous glimpse.
Talk to us, Sam, about what we're looking at right now. We see a table with what looks like 12.5 bowls on it. And then on the shelves, a lot of bowls, a lot of coffee mugs and stuff, but a very raw looking color.
And Vas is on another table that seemed to be of a different type of clay.
So Robbie does mostly hand building. I do about half hand building and half wheel throwing. Some of the pieces I make are meant to be very functional, but they're all really, for me, they end up being canvases for decorating. I'm at the point now where I have to stop making things, and then I'll spend the next 2 weeks just decorating everything.
What do you decorate them with?
I decorate them with different colored slips and glazes, and then fire them in my wood kiln, which is just outside there, which gives cool atmospheric effects and, hopefully contrasts really nicely. And you comes out of the kiln and hopefully the experience is like, ooh, that's nice.
Robbie, you mentioned that you fire it in a salt kiln. What effect does that give the pieces that you fire in it?
Well, here Sam's just using wood to fuel his kiln. I use gas, but at the end of the firing, I'm using soda ash, which is a flux, which makes a glass on the surface of the pieces. So where the pieces sit in the kiln determine how shiny or not shiny. That's an exciting part too. So that's part of the whole process. You're planning your firing by placing the pieces where you want them. Sam uses soda or salt? Both. Okay, so he's actually doing a triple job.
Because of the wood and the soda and the salt?
He's fueling it going up to super high temperatures with wood, so it's a very physical job. And I'm using gas, so I'm turning it on, watching it. I'm staying up long hours, but it's not quite the same physical activity. And then at the end, we're both doing a sort of at peak temperature, we're adding these materials to alter the surfaces even more. Like, we really don't know what they're going to look like, but then, boom, total surprise.
Surprise or terror? I always wonder that.
Well, it's a combination of both. You sleep well the night, you turn the kiln off, but then there's always like, did I do this? Did I do that? Did I mess up? But, at that point, it's a done deal, and you're just ecstatic that you got through it,
Yeah, it's like babies. You have no idea how it's going to come out. You just hope that it comes out whole and intact.
Yeah.
Well, that was a terrifying experience for me 3 times, so I can't imagine how it's like having to do these firings over and over again.
Pottery, it turns out, is actually the ultimate medium to work. It's the most perfect medium. Not everybody knows that, but it's just like an objectively true thing.
Not to define you by your spouse, but your wife is one of the best photojournalists in the area for the Daily Hampshire Gazette. We'll see what she has to say, Carol Lawless, about whether pottery is the best medium.
Objectively. Yeah. No, pottery is cool, but one of the things I think that is also cool about going out on this tour is seeing people's studio and seeing where people make the space that they work in and how they make things. There's another potter, Michael McCarthy, and in his studio, he doesn't have any art on the wall at all. He doesn't want the distraction. So it's just kind of like in contrast. You go to Robbie's studio, she's constantly drawing and putting her drawings up on the studio like she's working on like where people are getting their content. Those drawings, whatever, come from the garden, then go up on the wall, then go into the studio. And so I think the studio ends up being very much a reflection of each person and how they work.
The cool thing about pottery is that it's the art with the most uncertainty.
How it goes in and how it comes out are very different. Yeah, they're super different.
Yeah, and a lot of times we get things out of the kiln, and that week we're kind of like, not exactly what I wanted. But then you see it a year later in a friend's house, and you're like, oh my God, that is so good. I did that, so.
Like kids.
It's always shifting.
How many spots are on the tour? Are all 6 of the original Hilltown 6's studios open and available on the tour, or is it more limited next?
There are 8 studios. So me and Robbie are both in West Hampton. Mark Shapiro is in South Worthington. Hiroshi Nakayama is in Worthington, but like mid Worthington. Christy Knox is in Cummington. Connie Talbot is in Windsor, but just about in Cummington. Michael McCarthy is in Chesterfield. And then finally, Maya Macon is in Ashfield.
Yeah, wow, he did it without looking. Robbie got out the pamphlet, but yeah. That was off the top.
These are all our guests, so we have about 20 guests for our 20th year, which is kind of nice. And they're from all over the country, I think.
Now seeing a picture of your work, I would never guess that there wasn't some throwing involved in that. It just shows how awesome and malleable the medium is.
And how beautiful your colors are and all that.
Thank you.
Show them that nice vase on the front of the brochure.
Are you the cover girl?
Definitely more fun. I am the cover girl. So you see, in this case, people wouldn't know how to use this piece unless I put the flowers in it. And
but it's amazing.
Are you kidding? I mean, like, if it's just there as being pretty, then it's there being pretty, and that's enough.
But it's like a 3-layer cake vase.
Yeah,
it's almost Mad Hatter-esque.
I love it.
Yeah, my mom was in the flower business, so I get a lot of direction from her. You know, she's like, you got to change this or change that if you want the flowers to work. So this was not really her idea, but I was inspired by, growing up with that kind of lady in my life.
Well, you can find out more about what the Hilltown 6 is up to if you go to hilltown6.com. This weekend, there is a kind of open house of sorts in East Hampton where the Hilltown 6 will be there and talking with you and offering demonstrations and classes and stuff. And then the actual Hilltown 6 pottery tour is July 25th and 26th in all the places Sam mentioned off the dome.
Yep. Whew. We were all impressed.
We were. Thanks for having us here.
It's so nice for you guys to come out.
Every time we talk to potters, I want to touch the clay.
Yeah. One of these days we should do like a spinning set, but I didn't have the right clothes to change
I suck
into.
at spinning. I just want to coil.
I want to make another clay head of Elvis or a Gene Simmons mask.
Yeah, I was talking with them later about the fact that I did coil pottery in high school and was very good at it. I got very comfortable with it, but wheels always made me, it made me nervous. It was nerve-wracking.
I could never do a
Callbacks.
wheel either because I'm not a wheel like Jeff Tweedy is from Wilco. I'm a Wheel is one of the Wilco songs that maybe you'll hear on Saturday night here. But on the next Fabulous 413, we'll go back to the Green River Festival with a pop-up under the grandstands with the Valley's own Mal Devisa.
We'll have more arts with Joelle Willas Joe Zolar, founder of Urban Dance Women, who perform at Urban Bush Women is the name of the dance troupe. Oh my gosh. Who'll perform at Jacob's Pillow July 1st through 5th.
And our weekly conversation with Jim McGovern. Send a question to thefab413 at nepm.org. We'll see you tomorrow.
Later.